but the range of what they're reading and the things that teach them about themselves can be few and far between. So as much as we are teaching our young people about the importance of literacy and grammar and spelling and things like that, we also want to talk about those things that's going to build and feed them and nourish them culturally and develop them into young men and women that we need and want them to be. Thus this panel. This panel is put together by the board of ECBACC. We thought it would be a great topic to discuss here during this time. The topic this evening, I wanted to show the slide board, but it is entitled Shaping Our Youth Through Creativity. And we definitely thought that the panelists before you would be great people to speak on towards that topic, towards that theme from the various perspectives and the various careers. So without further ado, I would like to announce and introduce the facilitator of this panel is Professor Foster. I'm sorry,
that's all right. Hey,
so yes, Professor Foster is definitely a long-time friend of ECBACC, long-time supporter, educator, and definitely a creator in his own right. He is the author of Looking for a Face Like Mine and the first encyclopedia of Black comics. So without further ado, I can bring it to the podium unless you want to speak there and use your community voice.
No, my brother, this is cool.
Okay, great. Go to use his community voice, and we will get started. I will actually just mention, I guess, the other panelists that are here before we get started. We definitely have Sister Mama Carla, who is an educator herself, a quilter, and I guess she'll definitely be able to talk to you a little bit more about her work and her past. She's a griot. She's able to speak the spoken word. She goes to libraries and schools and tells our stories through song and dance, rhythm and rhyme, and she's been doing that for over 30 years. So she definitely has a perspective on ideas of shaping our youth and creativity. We also have Brother Nasib Gifted. He is an educator. He's a vice principal of what school? What's the name of your school now?
Science Park High School.
Science Park High School in New Jersey, and he's a longtime supporter of ECBACC as well. He is also a comic book writer and creator and publisher, and we definitely thank him for his time and his insights this afternoon. On the screen you see, we have Sister Magda Kanjejo, all the way from, not east of America, but east of Africa. She is in Kenya. It's a late hour, so we have to be very gentle with her time. So it's what, midnight over there? Yeah, midnight. But you can speak so we can make sure we can test it here. Can you hear us?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. So unfortunately, we had some technical issues. We were trying to fix them, but you can't see us, I see. I'm so sorry for that. We definitely want you to be able to see the people that were here coming to hear your words and your insights. But we're definitely here in spirit, we're definitely here audibly, so we can hear you and you can hear us, so we are connected. All right? And Sister Magda is one of the representatives of the Kukua Entertainment Group in Kenya, and they produce the fantastic animation series called Super Sima. Some of you may have seen it online, and if you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. Definitely go to their website. It's very simple to get to on YouTube. Just type in Super Sima, and you'll see a slew of free episodes that you can enjoy, your family can enjoy, and definitely they're all about African superheroes, a young African superhero that uses technology and science to protect her community. And so she's going to definitely be able to talk to us about her perspective on creativity and youth and community, and also some perspectives that her company brings forth. All right. So now, without further ado, now I got all out of the way, I'll bring to the podium Professor William Foster.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been
Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. As usual, I'm excited to be here in the forum for ECBACC, which is, I think, the last forum for the day. And I appreciate that people showed up for this and just willing to hear the comments that we're going to be making. I'm just going to make a general statement, and I'm going to ask each of all of the panel members to make an opening statement, and we'll move from there. Yes? Okay.
Yes.
This is a particular topic that I have held in a very high regard. How we are perceived. What is our image, the one we put out, the one people perceive about us, and how they treat us as a result of that image. We're speaking about, in general, everyone, but particularly we're speaking about people of color. And the idea is that that's not even a term that describes any one of us in here, absolutely, is it? Yes. It's just one part of who we are. But it is also a part where we pay close attention to what people say to us, and then we ask them a question about where did that come from. I had somebody ask me one time, what is your background? I said, well, I'm a young man. I come from my mother and father, and I have a big family. That's not what I meant. Well, then you need to be more specific. Okay? The idea of how we describe ourselves as quote-unquote people of color, as black people, as African American, as Latino American, all the things that make up who we are. It's more complex than it would seem initially. And for someone to assume that there's a simple answer, and that whatever answer you give is going to answer the question they have, that is a mistake and a waste of everyone's time. It needs to be handled more specifically. Yes?
Yes.
My niece is sitting in the back. I want to let her go. I'm not going to say anything to her, but her older sister created a wonderful group, was a member of an incredible group at the University of Pennsylvania. For those of us who filled out government forms where they ask you for your race or your ethnicity, I don't know how they divided that, but I'm going to let it go. And they put them in very specific categories. And my niece did not feel the categories were sufficient. If you belong to more than one, what do you put? As a result of that, she challenged them asking those questions, and they created, she and other members who are like her, created a group at the University of Pennsylvania called Check One. If you were going to answer this survey, you were only expected to check one category. How is that possible if you're a member of more than one category? So she made them examine their entire process of how they were doing that. Our image, who we are, what's important, what's not important. Yes?
Yes.
I am very fortunate. I taught diversity training for a number of years, and even I don't have the answers to all the questions people ask me. And that's what I would say at the beginning. You're going to have questions I can't answer. Keep looking. Because everyone here has their own sense of who they are, yes?
Yes.
Over the years, over the millennium, all of us, there are people who can't define who we are, but insist that they can. That's okay. We'll work this out if we keep open-minded, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just give a real brief thing about what I have been doing in concerning images of people of color in comics, and I've been very fortunate. People of color is the term I'm going to use, but it's not all-inclusive, trust me. Okay. And also want to thank our guests for the program. Thank you for being here with us today. The idea is that I have started studying comic books many years ago, where when I started reading them in the 19 blah, 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 there were few images of us, and they were never complimentary. If they showed us, it was at the United Nations, but they were always as ambassadors to the United Nations. Very rarely you see us except as Africans in Africa wearing grass skirts and attractive headgear, and that was it. I never, in the early part of my studying comic books, saw people of us in a positive way. The first time, truly, honestly, was in Marvel Comics and Spider-Man, which is one of their most popular books. And you saw black policemen, black students, black people walking up and down the street as, as regular human beings, as reporters. All those things that we had been ignored in years, they were putting them in. And I do believe they had to fight to get them there. The first black Green Lantern came about. I met the guy who created them and everything. He explained to me what happened. He said they wanted to have another substitute Green Lantern, and they said they wanted to do another white guy. He said, wait a minute. Let's go to the window. He said they were in New York City. He went to the window. He said, what do you see out there? Just look out the window at the people on the street. You see people of every color, every complexion, different nose shapes. He said, please don't make me make another white guy to be a superhero. He could be a black person, or she could be a black person, and that'd be fine. And he convinced them, but only after repeatedly saying that he thinks that we need to have a wider spectrum to choose who our heroes were. And from that, we have all kinds of things that will result, okay? But we're not only going to be talking just about comic books today, we're not going to be talking about images and films today. We're going to be talking about as many different types as we are to keep the discussion open. And I do hope that everyone here gets a chance to take the discussion to where you are from and give it to people and give them a chance to discuss it, because we still are working from the past. How we describe things. I've met people who still say color. I'm not upset at you. If that's the term you grew up with, that's the term you're using. We still say Negro. I'm not offended by the term Negro. I'm not. I understand where it came from. There were several places where it came from. And here's the point too, is that we have any number of documentaries and specialists and speakers who will tell you the history if you put something forward, rather than accept that whatever we have is all we've got. I never accept that. Okay, now I'm going to shut up a little bit and ask our guest if she would like to address us for a minute for opening statement. Please.
Sure. Want me to go? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Tell me yes.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. I will probably just share my screen to show you a bit of what I'll be talking about. Is that visible?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Amazing. So my name is Magda Kadrejo, and I'm so excited to be here. I'm going to be presenting Kukua, and Kukua is, we are the makers of Super Sema, which is an animated series focused on an African superhero. So we always call it about African kid power. So Super Sema is, a girl, and the show is all about Sema, and it's following the adventures of Sema and her twin brother around the world, which is called Dunia. And they are always on a mission to save Dunia, which is the world, from an evil AI robot called Tobor, which is robot backwards. But Tobor is always trying to take over the world, but through science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Sema and her brother are always able to navigate and defeat him way before he does anything. So it's just a fun show. We wanted to help kids starting to explore that idea of creativity. How can they solve problems in the real world? Because every single thing Sema does with her brother on the show is based on real life creations or innovations that actually exist. So the idea is just to inspire them to go out to the world and solve problems. Something inspiring about our team is we are focused on really that representation angle. When we were thinking of Super Sema, we were also looking at that. What's the representation out there for black kids, but mostly African kids as well. There are no shows that represented black people or people of color. And so the idea of this show was to give people or kids a space where they can come see a role model or someone who looks like them. And that's the feedback we got from community all over the world. Once Super Sema came out, everyone was just excited about Sema and who she is and what she represents. And mostly the parents actually who were reacting and saying, you know what, I'm excited to see someone who looks like me. I didn't have that, and I'm grateful my kid is growing up with someone who looks like that. And something even bigger than that is that we have, a female-led team because we felt it's important to represent this female character with women from all over the world. And Lupita Nyong'o also happens to be part of our team. She's an executive producer of the show. So this character really represents a lot of different things, and hopefully I can get to talk more or respond to any questions people may have around that. So that's just a brief introduction of the brand. And for me as Magda, my role specifically on Super Summer is connecting with the community of fans around the world. We have so many fans who reach out to us from all over the world, and Akinse is one of them. We connected through our different platforms, and we have always been in touch. And I'm so excited, to finally connect with everyone here, because the first time we connected, he had shared an image of a girl who had a costume of summer, and it was just like amazing to see that the team of us working here in Kenya are having an impact on kids all the way in the US, and they're even creating Super Summer costumes. So very happy to see that, and we have so many exciting stuff out there. So hopefully I can get to talk a bit about that later. But yeah, I think that's a brief introduction of Summer and who I am.
Cool.
I so appreciate that. Thank you. You gave me an introduction that I didn't have it, but I appreciate having that. My sister.
Again.
Microphone's waiting for you. I don't know if we can hear you from you.
Oh, I got a big mouth.
That's okay. Take your time. Do you want your cane made?
Oh, no.
Okay. I'm going to step back so we don't have trouble.
I just be careful. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. Hotel John. My name is Mama Carla Wiley. I am a Jali here in Philadelphia. I also am a teaching artist here in Philadelphia. I've been a teaching artist since the early 80s, which is, it's really interesting to see a lot of my young ones grow up. I have one here in the audience. It was my baby when he was very small. He worked with me at the library. I work with people from cradle to grave. In educating youth, we have to educate their parents as well. Part of educating their parents is to getting their parents involved in things that are art related. We still have an antiquated idea of what education means. We think that education is something that is passive. You sit your children on their rear ends in the classroom and they hear stuff and they'll learn. But we know that that's not true, especially children of color, especially children of African descent. Our children need to get up and move. They need to move, they need to dance, they need to sing, they need to draw, they need to dress up in costume. They need to express themselves. But we are in a society here, especially in the United States, where children are told a lot of times to sit there, be still, and stop talking. The problem is we need for our children to talk. We need them to communicate. We need them to know that there are more than one way to communicate. I'm going to ask my two brothers to help me with this quilt that I have here. I work for the City of Philadelphia, for the Free Library of Philadelphia for over 20 years. I still do workshops with them, even as a person who's retired. It's on its side. The rings are at the top, brothers. There you go. This is a quilt that we did along with our parents at the end of summer reading 4 years ago.
Beautiful.
This is a book, an open book, and the children read, all the children who read over 100 books, and their parents came and created this quilt with me. They learned how to tie a quilt. They learned how they put words and handprints, and they had conversations along with their children. The parents were blown away by 6-year-olds who could tell them about stories that they read at the beginning of summer reading. They were blown away by the fact that their children even wanted to do an activity like this with them. Because, again, still the understanding is that for children to be educated, they have to sit in a seat and just absorb things like a sponge, but that's not how children learn. Arts and education is very important, not just this, visual arts like this beautiful quilt, but also dancing. Children need to move.
Yes, they do.
The rhythm that they move at, that's how they learn mathematics. They need, in order to learn science, they need to cook.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to learn nutrition and how to take care of themselves, they need to be able to measure. All that goes along with learning. But learning is doing. And without the arts, because for a while they were moving towards getting arts out of school. As a parent of children, when they first started that movement, I, myself, and a group of other parents got together and we created a traveling art show. Where we would go to libraries and schools and we would do art projects based on books. Thank you, brothers. I don't want you guys to strain your arms. Thank you. And we went to recreation centers and schools and churches, and we did workshops and we gave away books. I still see children from those programs. I've done quilts with children as young as 4 and elders as old as 98. And all of them have had the opportunity to learn muscle strength, to understand how things are put together, and that education continue. If we don't do education along with it, we're going to have problems in schools. A lot of the disruptions that we see in schools is because when they focus on movement, they only focus on sports. Mm-hmm. Children need other things too. They need music, they need dance, they need to talk. They need to learn how to make speeches. They need to tell their story. Your birth story is the most important story that you ever have. So that's what I, as a teaching artist, focus on. I focus on making sure that our children and our adults have ways to tell their stories in every way they possibly can. I was at an open mic the other night, and this woman had these puppets. It was funny as crap, it really was. But what I loved about it was that she was in a non-judgmental, loving place to tell her story, and that's what our children need to. Yeah. And we can create those things. Yeah. I firmly believe it, and I know it's true because I've made it so. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's kind of hard to follow up behind all that greatness right there. So I'm going to try my best. Once again, my name is Nasir Gifted. I just had the opportunity to work with young people throughout my life, throughout my career. I started off as an engineer who saw, and those who don't know what engineers do, engineers are problem solvers. And I was an engineer who transitioned into education and fell in love with children and been in education for the last 20 plus years. Through that, developed a passion with my own children and the children that I service each and every day. So that set me off on a journey to create the next generation of technology leaders. And the way we went about doing that is what we looked at as far as STEM, as far as science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, but also infusing the art component in it. So everything that we've created from that point and that lens is what we use to educate as well as entertain individuals, within this particular field. And my whole journey into this comic industry is only through the passion of my own child, where we had this conversation about superheroes. And when we talk about superheroes, an image is usually generates in your mind. And most of the time, for those who may be outside of this particular convention, generate something that doesn't look like you. And that's the power of words. And through education, we always generate images. And my journey has always been to change that paradigm in what we do and to be able to have representation so you can see the hero within you and then also be able to see that there is a hero that looks like you that can solve the problems within your own community to be able to come up with those possible solutions. So that has been a part of my journey, which led me into developing a graphic novel series called Baby Soldier, where we infuse these various STEM topics and everything to be able to help not only tell a great story with phenomenal artwork, but to be able to infuse these various STEM topics that when we talk about education, when you talk about mathematics at a high level, you know, when you go into post-secondary, for me, engineering, I had to take Calc 1, Calc 2, Calc 3, differential equations, and then when I thought I was done with math, I had to go into Laplace transforms with circuits and everything else because I was an electrical engineer. And being able to look at that and look at mathematics at a high level, one of the reasons that our young people usually move away from the sciences and math is because it becomes more abstract to them. And because they can't visualize and develop those mental models is one of the reasons that they, you know, move into a more liberal arts, study, you know, as far as major. But one of the things that we wanted to do is to be able to change that and flip it on its head and to be able to develop mental models and develop these concepts around computer science, engineering, and everything else to be able to help young people be able to visualize these things. I mean, it is no coincidence the stuff that you see from Back to the Future, from Star Trek, and all of these other various sci-fi media actually becomes real because what it did was generate an idea. And then once you have the idea, be able to take that idea and make it into something real, make it into something concrete that you can build from. That's all developed from just the thought of an idea which starts with energy, and that energy transforming into something going from potential energy into kinetic energy. So that has been my whole journey. But one of the things that I look at as far as creativity, as well as in the comic book industry, graphic novels, and I actually did this experiment with my own child. For those of you who have reluctant readers, who have avid readers, who have any of those things, introduce them into graphic novels, and I'll tell you why. Because one, we talk about entry points, right? If you are a reluctant reader, it's a safe entry point to be able to galvanize your young person into that, because now you are associating images with text, right? And that's generally how we start our young people off, with text and images. We put picture books. And then as they get older, we take the pictures away. But when you look at it from a systematic approach, and we talk about more complex topics, when you get into STEM and the higher mathematics and the sciences and everything, you still need those mental models to be able to describe and be able to break those things down in order for you to be able to visualize what's going on to be able to use and help. So in the research, those who are reluctant readers, those who are avid readers, those who are ESL students, English as a second language, those have always been a great entry point to be able to do that. And then when we talk about AP, we talk about advanced placement, graphic novels, and I'm not talking about all of them. There are certain titles and everything within that realm, just like you got good books, you got bad books. Within those realms, to be able to touch into that and to be able to understand the level of creativity and to be able to help develop those mental models. So that is some of the work that I've been doing throughout these last 20 years to be able to, steer more of our young people into the STEM fields, but using their passion for for comics, animation, and gaming to be able to do that. And I always look at one clear example. When you watch a movie, there's a number, sometimes 1,000, or sometimes a couple of hundred job opportunities that's there. A number of them are so related that our young people can definitely do based on their technical skills, and it takes certain skill sets to be able to do those things. But one thing that we don't have is the exposure to that. We're one of the biggest consumers. I think we, as when we talk about individuals from the African diaspora, you know, we rank number 8 from spending power, right? And be able to take that, and I'm talking about 8 as number 8 as countries are concerned, and to be able to take that and not just be consumers, but to be creators and innovators within this industry. And a lot of that comes from exposure. The individual that's next door, the individual that's right next to you, to be able to take that and understand that those are things that you can try and be a part of, or be an individual within that industry, you know, once given the proper exposure. So that's my work. That is my introduction statement, you know, and I'm going to hand it over back to Professor Foster. Thank you.
All right.
I am glad to be a part of this panel. I'm glad by the various views that we talked about. We represent a number of them. I'm going to just give a brief introduction to my dealing with images, talking about things that I found in myself and that I had difficulty with, and that I kind of dedicated myself to in changing. I am a native of West Philadelphia. I'm very proud of that. Most times. When people ask me about where I'm from, I speak with pride about it. I speak about what I've seen. When I look at comic books, I look at magazine images, I look at TV images, and I see people who are supposed to represent me. I have not always been encouraged. Young men can't be involved with the arts. Why? Because somebody says that's not appropriate for them. They can't speak intelligently. They can't dress appropriately for settings. They can't be involved in the ministry. All those things are talking about parts of our image as a people, as a country, as a nation, that someone thinks is inappropriate for us, and we have to make we have to be forced to make decisions on what we will decide about when we're going to be when we grow up. What are we going to be a part of? Let's go to speak our voice without someone being critical of us. And even when they are critical, can we still stand and represent ourselves well? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
That's for every teacher, for every parent, for every relative. We have seen the best in our family, and that is what raises us to the best. I know that